Hey, I'm Scott Skelly for Skelly's Farm Market, and I want to take you today behind the scenes for our wagon rides at Skelly's Choose Your Farm Adventure Wagon Rides with Farmer Jack. Now, we've been doing our Choose Your Adventure rides for about 10 years now, almost, and we always keep upping the game, but it's what a lot of people don't realize is all the technology that goes behind us. Now, Skelly's is the only one that has a ride like this anywhere in the country because we actually made our own software to do this. And if you haven't been out on our rides before, the concept is you're traveling with Farmer Jack, and every year he has a different adventure. And in this particular year, he is going to on a trail just like the Oregon Trail. But along the way, he has different mishaps, things happen, and you as the riders get to vote on what happens. So obviously we don't got anybody back here today. I'm just out giving you a tour, but I want to show you a little behind the scenes of what happens up in the tractor as we're going. So I'm going to flip my camera around here. All right, so here you can see the tablet that is up in our tractor cab. You might have saw it behind my shoulder when we were facing the other way here. And what this is doing is actually setting up our whole story. Because, like we said, at different times, people get to vote on the ride on what happens. We do that with silly hand motions. But here in the tractor, the driver is paying attention, but it's actually mostly hands-free. So we look here, we can see all the audio files. We already played the rules when they started. That was the only time the tractor driver has to play some audio. Then they start driving. And it's actually GPS driven. So the story starts in about 35 feet here. So we're going to go ahead and put ourselves in gear. I'll show you what that looks like. And as we approach there, it's counting down. And at 25 feet, it's actually going to kick in and start playing for us. See, it turns green. We see our little file over here. And if we crank up the sound in my speakers here, you might hear it in the background.
Ancient times when your parents were kids.
Of course, I'm the voice in that part, so it's a little goofy hearing me twice. But yeah, so the story's playing, we see a progress bar, and kind of some fun things here on the tablet. The tablet actually even tells the driver how fast they're supposed to be going, and right here, I got a green, so that means I'm actually doing good. I'm not going too fast, because if the tractor driver goes too fast, we end up to the next vote before we're supposed to, and you can see it turns red there because it knows I'm going too fast. And all this we've programmed in. Again, this was a custom-built app built just for our wagon rides. We have to set up these GPS points each year, and you can see, looking ahead here, we have some more GPS points when we come up to our next split. Now, in certain points of the story, again, the story splits, but during our first one, there's a practice vote, and the riders get to decide where Jack is going to be traveling, whether he's trying to go to California or Washington, and all throughout the ride, it'll keep referencing that. So the driver does have to do this one extra touch. Let's say everybody voted to go to Washington, and then we'd see that. We'll speed ahead here a little bit, and look up here. Hey, Mr. Mayor, we're passing him. If we were to be listening to the story right now, we would know the part of the story that he's at. But we'll zoom ahead to the first split and show you how that works. All right, so we'll pretend that our voters decided they want to go right to the farmer. So we're driving up here. We're approaching where this will start. And I got our speakers cranked up this time, so hopefully you can hear it when we get there. We're about 60 feet out still. And you can see the banker, we're never going to get within that 25-foot range there, so that audio will never start because we didn't go into that part of the story, and that doesn't get affected. But we hit the farmer.
Hey there, are you heading out west?
And yes, we can hear that part of the story.
Would you like a wagon train? Can you?
So pretty cool. That's what's happening throughout the ride. And this year we upped it even more where based off what you do, because it's like playing like Oregon Trail, the classic video game, you actually get points at different parts. So depending on what happens in the story and how you do, your points goes up. Drivers even get to check out and see what your score is as it's happening during the ride. And the other cool thing is if I flip over to the new ride, we do have different drivers driving. We have some men, some women driving for us. And because the driver is one of the characters, depending on what's selected, that'll actually change the starting voice that's going on in the ride. So it's pretty cool. Lots of different files. We have about 60 to 80 audio files set up that all get triggered properly depending on what's happening. Let's head over in the office. We'll show you the back end on how this happens on the computer. Okay, so we're in the office now and take a look a little bit about the whole process. Now, all this mostly happens in the winter months. So stories written, audio editing happens, all while it's still snowy outside. People ask what we do in the winter. These are some of the things that take up a lot of our time on a daily basis. So looking here, we're in Google Earth, and this shows us kind of our tentative route for the year. So then the first step to any good wagon ride, once we've chosen what our theme is going to be, is to actually write a story. So we kind of follow a template like this, where we will have sections where everybody's driving, but if we're able to look in Google Earth, you drive along, and then we know the route's going to split. So we're going to have some type of vote some type of decision happening in the maze or in the wagon ride. So here you can see, based off how people vote, they're going to be either the banker or the farmer, and our stories diverge as such. Now, Jack, being the main character, is all in brown, our driver's in blue, and other characters show up in red throughout the story. And if I was to scroll through here, you'd see all different parts, including one part where there's 4 different possible things happening, depending on what routes and what scenarios you took to get to that point in the story. Now, you'll also notice here that we have numbers, and these were added after we actually edited all the audio. We say, okay, this audio file lasts for 70 seconds. If we're driving an average of 2.4 miles an hour, this is how many feet you would travel while that audio is playing. So we then go back to Google Earth, and we'll use our measuring tools and actually measure out sections and say, is this a long enough section to do it? And if not, then we have to redraw our route a little bit so we don't get the path all cut in the field and then say, oh shoot, we don't have enough space to play an audio file going through the field. But before we get those audio files, we then actually have to record that. So as we saw here, we have our script with all our characters, and each character actually records their audio individually. We don't have everybody in the studio at once. This is somewhat similar to how a lot of animated movies are produced, where the actors and the voice actors may not be in the same studio. We do all this independently because I don't have enough microphones to record all these people at once, and it's all going to get edited anyways. And as we'll see as we're editing, in some cases, multiple people are saying the same line. So let's take a look at what audio editing looks like for us. So here's our master file of all the things happening. And if we were to look at various sections, so this is section P, for example, in our story, we would have, and we were to go back and look at our Word document where we had everything written out. Section P is the toll road, and actually a fairly simple section. It is one of the splits. We can see we got a lot of things going on. We got our sound effects track here. We got actually even more background sound effects. So we got a toll announcement. We've got background wagon ride sounds, or covered wagon sounds going along the road. There's going to be some splashing in there. We also have our driver. So those are our first 2 files here. And because we have both that male or female driver, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So let's play just a little clip of this of our female driver.
You have to watch out for these drivers here too. I don't think they have that Midwest nice.
So we heard that horse sound effect, we heard the wagon in the background, and we heard our Allison, our driver voice, playing it. Now the tricky thing is, this audio file needs to match up exactly whether it's Allison talking or the male driver talking, which is my voice. So as we
you have to watch out for those drivers here too.
I don't think they have that Midwest nice.
Hey, Wreck-It Wagon, watch where you're going.
Hey driver, you're
So we can see that even though they were recorded completely independently, we need to do some finessing to make sure that they are speaking at the same speed so that they can fit right in the same section between Farmer Jack's talking back in here and Farmer Jack's talking over in there. So it's kind of neat. And then we actually export the files, with certain tracks muted. So if we're exporting the male driver, female voice gets exported. Now this section, we also have a spot where Farmer Jack will say where he's getting to.
We made it. And look, we crossed into California.
And likewise, Farmer Jack could
Made
say.
it. And look, we crossed into Washington.
So what happens is when we actually export these files, Farmer Jack's voice in that particular part, because it's considered a dynamic part of the ride, it's going to change based off of what all the riders voted on. Early in the ride, we actually leave that as a muted out part. So if we were to sit and listen to this, this was not real exciting because we don't have voices in front. We hear just the sound effects, there'd be blank silence, and
Thanks for all your help.
Farmer Jack does have one common line there that's across all the files. So then is what happens is we look and say, okay, in this file, we know at this specific point in time, a file needs to be played, and we actually have a second file that'll get triggered in our app, and our app will handle playing just this little slice of a file for this dynamic audio of where we're going to. So long story short, there is tons of files that are output from all this. So what do we actually do with this? So we put this into a coding program, And again, we were down in section P. Let's find it here. All right, the toll road. So this is what the toll road looked like. We have our GPS coordinates. We'll show you that just in a second. And that's what is the specific point in the field that the tablet's looking for to trigger that. We also know that at this particular point, it's going to give a prompt to the driver that, hey, it's time to vote for the bonuses, or the driver gets to decide what bonus points people get during the ride. So it's triggering that. It's a dual file, meaning that's going to have some extra stuff being played. And it's telling the file name that it's going to pull for that. It's going to give the info, and then it's saying, wait to play this until 44.313 seconds into the clip, which is an exact amount that we pulled using, again, our audio editing software. And it's going to say, what kind of splits we got coming up in files and things like that. So you can see there's this massive file that has tons of GPS points, has instructions on inserting all these files. And again, these are things that we have to set up all of it. There's even scoring information in there, even speed information. So, at different points, it's telling the driver that they need to speed up or slow down, how fast they're moving their tractor through the field. But in the end, the goal being that almost all this is hands off, except for the driver just marking the few votes for bonus points, or at the beginning, whether you're going to California or Washington. Otherwise, completely hands off for the driver. This is a fully automated system. The only time it's not automated is when it's not related to actually where you're going with GPS. But literally driving with the GPS is assigning the points and the score and keeping the score as they go through. So we'll flip back to Google Earth here real quick and look at how we know where it needs to be in the field. So after the route has been cut out of the field, we hopefully left all those sections be long enough because we had pre-measured it. Then we go out with the GPS device and actually plot where we think those audio points should start. Keeping in mind that, there was a certain stretch here, and we kind of overleft the stretch to be longer. So you can see these are all points where an audio file would get triggered. And then we take those coordinates, we take them back into our editing software and actually place in those GPS coordinates to make it happen. So tons of stuff happening behind the scenes. Thanks for sitting and listening to this. Maybe you understood all of it, maybe you didn't. That's all right. The point being that our wagon rides, we put a ton of effort into making them really awesome. We hope you have a great time. We hope it's just kind of this unique thing. We liken it to trying to bring a Disney ride experience without a Disney budget. Obviously, we don't have multiple millions of dollars to drop into a ride. And this is something that we completely redo from scratch each year. Certainly, some of our back-end software, we can adapt it and rewrite it. That story is getting rewritten every time. We are resetting the route. We are resetting those GPS points. We're building new scarecrows year in and year out to make this hopefully be this awesome thing right here in our local community for folks to enjoy. And I think next time you ride, hopefully you'll have a new appreciation for all the things that go into making it, and might notice some of those things behind the scenes and say, hey, now I know how they did this. So Skelly's Farm Market, open daily through Halloween. Come out, do your wagon ride. Your wristband gets you on unlimited wagon rides for that day, depending on how long wagon rides are running. Weekends are running all day, Friday afternoons in October. Come out and do it. Go multiple times. Get multiple versions of the story. This year, you even get different points every time you go. So definitely come out, participate, have fun, and enjoy a day at Skelly's Farm Market.